welcome to September 30th at 4 p.m. This is the top 10 things you need to know in Schoolnet. This session was based off of user feedback, where districts were saying that they really just wanted, especially for their newer teachers that were getting familiar with the platform, just, the most important things for them to get started in the platform. So that's how this session came about. All right, first off, we're just going to do a little bit of introduction. My name is Rebecca Stokes. I'm the product manager for NCDPI with Schoolnet. My email address is located right there on slide 2, and I do encourage you to use it with any questions that you might have. And we also have the wonderful Simone here with us. Catherine, would you like to say hello?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Simone. I am the Pearson Implementation Manager for North Carolina. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Catherine, for being here with us today. All right. So just a little bit of housekeeping concerning CEUs. So if you are in the live session today, then you and you are in the session for the entirety of it, you will receive an email from me that has a copy of the slide deck, a copy of the recording, and a certificate for credit for you to be able to submit to your district. So the type of credit is determined by your district. So what I am sending you is letting you know the session that you attended, the date, and that it's worth 0.1 CEUs, because remember 0.1 is equivalent to 1 hour. And then your district will decide what type of credit that is for. So you'll want to make sure that you are following your district's policy and procedure for submitting those DLC credits, okay? And that is going to be given based off of an email. So when you registered with your email address, and the team system will track how long you are in the session. And don't worry if you get kicked out and you have to join back in. I still see that in the data, so you don't have to worry about that. And then based off of that attendance, that is the email address that I will send that certificate to. I'm usually able to do it by Friday. So if you have not gotten an email from me on Friday, you'll want to make sure to reach out to me just in case something happened in the registration and I might have missed it. Okay. All right, so we are using Teams that does not allow you to unmute, but you should be able to use the chat. But we have found that some districts do have a security setting that blocks the chat feature. But even those of you that have the chat feature blocked where you cannot use it, the Q&A usually works as well, and that's located right beside the chat feature. So Catherine and I are going to be kind of taking turns presenting today. So we will both be checking those things to be able to get everyone's questions answered. Okay. All right. I think that's all of the housekeeping. And again, thank you for being here with us. And let's get started. Let's see, Catherine, I think you're actually up first because you were doing.
I am.
Yep, so I don't mind driving the slide deck for you if you'd like, or if you want to take over.
Mind? I'm going to take over and jump in the training site. Okay.
Absolutely.
I already have it prepped and ready to go. Okay, for those of you watching today, I just want to clarify that I am using the North Carolina training site. This has scrambled data. But it's an easy way for me for Rebecca and I to show you the click paths as we go forward. So I am logged in as teacher, nobody's name here, just so you know. But I'm going to show you how to click through as a teacher or an admin to see and adjust student accommodations. So as a teacher, I like to go right here to my classroom widget and pick a section, so I can either pick my reading class or my math class. If I click reports, I can click student reports. I can click on the first student in the list for demonstration purposes. This is called the student profile, and these tabs you're free to explore, but if I go all the way to the right, you will see the TestNav PMP personal needs profile. Click on it. And you can see this particular student already has a couple accommodations already in place. These are the choices: color contrast, answer masking, line reader, magnifier, text to speech. With text to speech, you can set the voice to male or female, slow, normal, or fast. It does default to female and a normal speed, okay? You can set for extra time and the percentage of time or unlimited time. You can add calculator, 4 function, 5 function, scientific. So for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add answer masking to this student. Let's add some color contrast, and I'll pick some colors here. And then you notice the blue button down here on the right lights up blue. And now I click save. Very easy. Set my students' accommodations, and we should be all set with that. Let me just go back to the slide deck. So I walked you through how to find your students. If you are an admin, and let me jump out of this real quick. And here we go. I think I got one ready. You have this feature up here where you can find a student. You just have to start typing the student's name. I'm just going to click this one. There you go, PNP, same process. Set some things here, change this, hit save. And now I have added accommodations as an administrator to another student. Let me go back here for a minute. I think I covered that. Think we're good? All right, up to you, Rebecca.
All right, I'm going to take back over. So the second item that we wanted to show you in Schoolnet is your filters that you have available to you. So let me actually shrink this down, and I'm going to go to the training site as well. Okay, so when you are building an assessment and you are finding questions, let's see, this is what's going to pop up when you either create the test first and add questions, or if you go to search the questions first. So you're going to have the options over here of selecting the item banks that you want, the subject, grade level, standards. But oftentimes this button right down here is missed. So this is the all filters. We wanted to show all of the different ways that you can sort your questions to be able to get the ones that are going to best fit your needs, okay? So you can filter by the type of question. So if you only wanted multiple choice questions, you could check this box and that's all that's going to show. When we're talking about technology enhanced items, you would be able to check all of the open or the technology enhanced. So let's see if I did those, hotspot, drag and drop. I would be able to select these and then apply the filters, and then pretty much anything that's not multiple choice would show. So you have those options there, but also if I keep scrolling down, there's this item right here. If you are ELA or science or even social studies and you have a passage associated with questions, if you check this box, it's going to link the passage and questions together, meaning that when students are taking the test, they would read the passage and then they would see questions associated with that passage in order. So this just kind of prevents students from reading one longer passage and only having one question, and then having another long passage and one question. So this is going to link it together. But with that, you also have the filters of selecting the type of passage. So you can see we've got like poetry or informational text. You also can sort by, well, we would have already sorted the subject and grade level, but you can sort by the genre. You can sort by the number of words. You also can come down here and sort by the lexile range, the Flesch-Kincaid range. So you have several options there. And if I uncheck this box, then I can keep going down just to have more items up here on the screen. But for item properties, you also can sort by the DOK level. So I know oftentimes teachers are trying to create their formative or summative assessments with a wide range of DOK levels. So you would be able to sort for just a few level ones, add those to your test, then go back to add more questions and just sort by level 2. So then you can make sure that your test has a mixture. You can, of course, see that in the item settings as well. So you don't have to filter by this, but we just wanted you to be able to know that that was an option. You also have cognitive demands level, Bloom's taxonomy, and authored difficulty as well. Okay, and we get down here, we do have like number of exposures as well, which I know one teacher in particular that I was meeting with said that she used Schoolnet so often as just like quick like exit tickets every day, that she wanted a way to be able to filter out questions that she's already used. So she actually used number of exposures, and she would set this to 0, and then it would pull up questions that she had not delivered to her students that year. So that was just a way that one teacher in particular used that filter. But that is all of the filters that you have, which I know is a lot. But again, you just want to pick and choose the ones that are best fitting the need for what you are wanting to use Schoolnet for in that situation. But that's your filters. And I think I'm going to do the
Rebecca.
same thing. Yes, what I do.
Oh, sorry. Nope, you're fine. I thought you were finished. I was going to ask. There's a Q&A I need you to
Oh,
answer.
okay. I was like,
Sorry.
oh no, what did I do?
Nope,
So
you didn't.
I did want to go back here and make sure that I covered. Yep, and I did. So the next one was going to be copying tests. So we have a question, you said?
I answered, there were 2 questions in the Q&A. The
Okay.
first one, I'll just repeat it for the audience. If an admin enters accommodations, do all of the students, teachers see them? Yes. So only one adult needs to adjust the PMP, either an admin or a teacher, and then it will be set in the child's profile for everyone. Okay. And then the second question, if a teacher cannot get into their account because it will not let them select their role to verify, what might be this issue? Passing that to you, Rebecca.
Of course. All right. So let's see. This is Miss Hood. Okay. It depends on whether, well, actually, it doesn't depend. It's based off of this. So whether you are using PowerSchool or Infinite Campus, the teacher has to have a role given to them. So in PowerSchool, that's done through the security settings, and any data manager or SIS coordinator will be able to do that. And if you are using Infinite Campus, then it is in the teacher's district assignments in their census page. And again, any data manager or SIS coordinator would be able to do that for you. So it's pretty much anybody that has editing rights in the student information system, but that is why it will not let them select a role, because there has not been one given to them in the SIS. So that's what needs to happen. So I would definitely contact your data manager and they'd be able to assist you. But if for some reason they have a question, please make sure you grab my email off of slide 2, and I will be happy to either assist them if they're not sure where to go, or assist you if you have editing rights in the SIS, and so we can get your teacher squared away.
Okay, moving on to number 3, copying tests from previous years. So when you create a test in Schoolnet, whether you are an admin or a teacher, you create the test, you schedule it, you assign it, and you'll see that in a moment. But the end of the year comes around and Schoolnet rolls over and the tests are completed that you used last year. If you like your tests from last year and you want to reuse them, you need to copy them into the new school year. Okay, and the directions are here. I'm not going to read them to you. I'm actually just going to demonstrate. So I'm going to switch to the training site. Let me do a quick navigation here. So what I like to do is, oops, sorry. I like to go to assessment. It usually looks like this. Click the down arrow, tests, click find, and then you're in Test Central. Now, I know this is the training site, so everything's scrambled, but in your site, you would click the admin date range and select 23-24 school year. When you do that, you're going to see your last year's tests. So you can click, then you can locate, you can filter here by subject if you like, by grade level, and I'm just making this up as I go along. You click go, and then you see what tests you have from last year. If you're a teacher, you're going to see my classroom level tests. If you're an admin, you're going to see either school level or district level tests. Pick the test that you want to reuse. You click on the name. Anything blue in Schoolnet is a link, okay? Once you click on the test, you are going to see that the test probably is completed. You'll see the stage here, and you'll see a copy button. You're going to hit copy, and it takes you to the screen, which is the initial manual test setup. It automatically puts the word copy in the title of the test, but what I like to do is put the school year in and change it so I know that I'm copying this over for the next school year. You can change anything you like here, or you can leave it the same. Scroll all the way down the bottom. You can change the restrictions, whatever you want to do, and then you'll see a blue button at the bottom, generate test. And give it a minute because I'm in Teams, so of course it's going to take a minute. And now this test is ready to be scheduled, okay? So from here, you can see this is a 24-25 test. I can finalize the test. I can hit schedule. I can put my dates in. I'm just going to randomly pick some dates here. And then I can apply the default assignment. Recommended, well, this one's an admin test, so I can apply the default assignment. Make sure you do this. The test needs to be assigned. Once I do that, I can set any of the restrictions or other features that I like, and then I hit save and publish. And then my test is ready to be given to the students. Okay. All right, look at me cruising along, Rebecca. I'm up to number 4. Woohoo! Sorry, I
Nice.
have to make a joke. We take a long time sometimes, everybody.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. But I did notice, Catherine, that number 5 was Desmos. So I didn't know if you wanted me to take number 5 for Desmos, if you wanted to do co-author, or I'm happy to keep going in our alternating order.
No, I could take co-author too. Let me go back.
Okay.
I think I even have a co-author test in here. Okay, so co-authoring is not for admins. Let's just start with that. It is for teachers. Okay.
And don't forget to share, Catherine.
Oh, yep. Let me go because I'm already clicking away. You knew that. Didn't you? I was already changing my site. Okay. All right. So as teachers, we have my classroom test, but sometimes let's just say I am a 3rd grade math teacher and I would like to share with the other 3rd or maybe even 4th grade math teachers. Okay. So when I go over here to my assessments, see if I can find, please let this be the teacher. All right, it's not, so I will create one. Thought I had one in here, but let me start. If I'm creating a test from scratch, I'm going to go manual. I'm going to do this real quick. Call it a co-author test so you can watch me do it. Of course, I'd have to spell it correctly. I did say I was a math teacher, right? And I'm going to go with I am 3rd grade, pick my standards document, and it's a My Classroom test. I'm going to generate the test, use items from a bank. And just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to pick a couple questions here. I'm going to add them to my test. Then I'm going to return to test details, and I'm going to save these changes. Now, there are two ways that you could share this test. One, I could go to my test settings and I think I clicked the wrong one. Sorry. Made a mistake on that one. Sorry about that. Let me back out of this for a minute. I can, if I have this test and I made it, I'm sorry. I was thinking of a different process. I apologize. I made a test. I want to put it in co-author mode. I want to keep my original test. Okay, so let me demonstrate this one first. I'm going to hit copy the test. And I'm going to leave copy in the title this time so that I know it's going to my co-author settings. At the bottom, I'm going to enable co-authoring. Now, I can add a teacher just by starting to type in the teacher's letters of the last name. And I could add a teacher here. Or if I've already created a co-author folder, see if I can get out of this. Of course, it's not going to cooperate on Teams. If I already have a co-author folder, I can, and we made these a while back, sharing is caring tests. I can click this and I can generate this copy. It's basically copying it into the folder. So I'm going to click generate test, and then I'll show you where this test landed. Okay, I'm going to say finish editing, and then that will take me back to my Schoolnet navigation piece. So let me go back to the home screen so you can see me navigate this. I'm going to click assessments. I'm going to scroll down under assessments and you're going to see test co-authoring all the way down at the bottom. When I click on this, I already have two folders as a teacher set up. If I look here, there are 4 people. And if I hover over it, I can see there's myself, a co-teacher. I know it's jiggling back and forth. There are 3 tests in this folder. I could see that by this number 3. I'm going to click on this. Oops, come on. There we go. I can see the names of the people that I added, and I can see the test. So now I have that co-author copy test here, okay, and a couple other tests. And if Rebecca wanted to use one of these tests, she can click on it. If we're making the test together, she could add questions. She could change some of the questions, or if the test is ready to go, she can copy it out of the co-author folder. And now here, maybe she wants to put her initials and 2425, so she knows this is her test, and generate the test. Okay. So that method was creating the test and then copying it into a co-author folder. Okay. The other option is if I already have a bunch of tests I created and I already made copies, I can go to the co-author folder. Okay. Or actually, let me say, if I want to set up a new co-author folder with different people, I can go up here to the corner and say create new folder, give it a new name. Add people, and then hit save. I can also create a test from here. The same process I showed previously. I would set up my test, use my items, and that would put it right in either a co-author folder or ready to share with other individuals. Let me go back to that PowerPoint, make sure I grabbed everything. Okay, so the PowerPoint started with creating the folder. I did it a little backwards, sorry. My brain works a little differently. But that's the process for creating the folder, saving it, and adding teachers. Okay. Adding a test, creating a test in the co-author folder, or creating a test without the folder and then adding it. Okay. Please make sure you don't try to schedule the test from within the co-author folder. It needs to be copied out of the co-author folder. I can't emphasize that enough, okay? And then let's see. Okay, this is the test editing screen. This is just the basics of, did you want me to go through creating a test with this piece, Rebecca?
No.
Okay, all right, just checking. All right,
Let's
then.
see. Yeah, I think that's just,
Okay, just
yeah,
checking.
in case they need to make a new instance. So yeah, we should be good.
Okay, all right, you're up to the Desmos calculator.
All right,
Stop
and before I
sharing.
do that, we did have 2 questions in the Q&A. So for anyone that is not able to see that. So one person asked if we will have access to this presentation. Yes, so we have it in the chat, we've pasted it there, but also by the end of the week, you will get an email from me that includes a copy of this presentation for you to be able to copy and use and whatever it is that you want to do with it. Refer to it later, but yes, you will get a copy of this. And then another person asked if there was a way for teachers to get a notification email if a co-author is added. And there is not, because the email addresses are not synced to Schoolnet. So there is not a way for Schoolnet to communicate back to your email. So if you are adding a co-author, you will want to let them know because then they can just check their co-author folder and be able to see the test, but there is not a way for them to get an email for it, okay? All right. So let me share my screen back. All right, so I'm actually going to be covering numbers 5 and 6 since I changed it up on Catherine. And so number 5 is embedding Desmos calculator. So for my middle and high school science and math teachers, if you are using Desmos, but you do not want students to have to open up a new tab and go to a Desmos calculator, there is a way to embed the calculator into the question. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Let me go to the training site. So I already have an assessment where I just pulled in 4 math items, and I'm just going to show you how you can do this. But if I, as the teacher, am going to go through the process of adding a Desmos calculator, it is not difficult. It'll take you about 10 seconds to do, so it's not time consuming. However, I do not want to have to do this every single year or every single semester. So I'm going to want to save these questions that have a Desmos added to it so that I can use it in the future, okay? So I added these 4 questions. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is right underneath where it says for this particular item, it says multiple choice. You're going to see this sentence here that says that this item is from an item bank and that there is this blue unlink, okay? So I'm going to click unlink, and what this does is this makes this my copy of this question, okay? So any changes that I make to it, I can save this question just for myself, okay? And I can do that with all of the questions, but this one in particular. So I have unlinked it. Notice that it now says change type, but we actually covered that in a completely different session. So I'm not going to go into detail of what that means in this one. But where the question content is right here. So if I click into this question, you'll see a rich content editor appear. Okay. Now, I am not a high school math teacher, nor was I ever a high school math teacher. So I am fully aware that this question might not even need a Desmos calculator. So please just use your imagination for training purposes only. Okay. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to click this code icon right here beside the spell check. Okay. So what this is going to do is this is going to show all of the source code. Okay. Now do not get overwhelmed because you are not changing anything with this source code. Okay. All you are going to do is hit enter to start a new line. And in our slide deck on slide 32, you're going to see this underline that says QRD for embedding Desmos. We also have this on our resources page, but I have it pulled up. So what I have is this document, and I have it saved so that anytime I need to add a Desmos calculator, I can just pull it up from my bookmarks bar. So just a little suggestion there. But what this is this has the source codes for embedding these calculators. So if I needed a for function, a scientific, a graphing, any of those options. So what I'm going to do is, let's just say I needed scientific. Right behind that red colon, I'm going to highlight that entire line of code. I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go to my item. I had already hit enter, so I'm on a new line, and I'm going to paste. And then I'm going to save the question. And now I have an embedded Desmos calculator. Okay, so like I said, it will take you about 10 seconds to do once you actually have the QRD up. But if I'm going to show this again in the second option here. So remember, for this question, I'm going to unlink. I'm going to click inside of the question. I'm going to hit the source code icon right beside the spell check. I'm going to hit enter, and I already have it copied, so I'm just going to hit paste again, save, and now I have my calculator. If I were doing that for, let's say, 15 questions, okay, I would not want to have to do this again next semester when I'm reusing these questions, okay? So I'm going to click return to test detail because we're just going to say that I was only going to do that to those two. I do want to save my changes. Okay, now here are all of my questions on the test details page. Okay, notice right here underneath, there is nothing here. But as soon as I say that I'm finished with this test, I'm going to finalize. It's going to say, are you sure? Now underneath, you notice it says add all items to an item bank. So any question that I made changes to, the two that I unlinked and I added that Desmos calculator to, I can click this right here and I can create a new bank and say this is 10th grade Desmos. And I'm going to say questions with Desmos added. I can add people. So if I want to add the other 10th grade math teachers, which I'm sure it's not even 10th grade math, I'm sure it's an actual like algebra or something like that. But I can add whoever I want to this bank, and we can all do this together and save questions so that not one person is adding Desmos by themselves. So I can add people, and I can click create bank and save selection. So now when it loads, there we go. When I go over to my item banks, I should now see a 10th grade Desmos item bank, and I have 2 items in it because I had only changed those 2, and now they are saved here for me to be able to use for future use. Okay, so you do not have to save your questions that you added Desmos to. If that is not something you are interested in, then you can skip the unlink part altogether and you can embed that Desmos, but you would have to do that every time. I just wanted to show that to you so it's not something that you are having to redo, but if you are not interested in saving them, completely up to you. It is just an option for you, okay? All right, so if I go back here, I believe I covered everything with that. And the slide deck goes through how to save that bank and create a bank. Okay, and it didn't look like we had any questions, so I'm going to go ahead and hop to number 6, accessing other teacher sections. Okay, so this comes up a lot if there is a long-term sub, if someone is out on medical leave, if teachers in a grade level need to be able to assign tests to other sections because one teacher needs access for some reason. I don't know. But Schoolnet only pulls the teacher of record from PowerSchool or Infinite Campus. So if you are a co-teacher in PowerSchool or Infinite Campus, Schoolnet is not going to recognize that. It only recognizes the lead teacher. However, you can request access to another teacher section. It just has to be approved. Okay, so on slide 38, we do have the directions of what you would do. I'm going to see if I go to the training site. Let's see if I'm able to do that. I'm not even sure if I can or not. All right. When you are in your account, in the top right corner, you will see the little person icon and where you can click My Account. Okay. You will have a tab that says Sections and Rosters. So this is what the teacher would do that needs access to someone else's class, okay? So if I click Sections and Rosters, oh, it's not going to let me do it, is it, Catherine? I'm going to have to go through the QRD. I was hoping in the training site I could. I'm sorry, guys. The training site does not let me do it, but that's okay. So let me see if I can zoom in a little bit.
And sorry, I was muted. I was talking to you and telling you couldn't do it through that. But
no worries. No worries. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to click My Account and you are going to click Sections and Rosters, but I didn't have it available in the training site. But underneath the Sections and Rosters, you're going to see a little sentence. And it's going to say, is your class not listed here, or would you like to request an additional section? And there's this blue click here. It's not very noticeable. I will go ahead and tell you that. You have to know what you're looking for to see it because it's not like bold or anything. So it does say click here. So once you click here, it's going to say teacher name or course. So you do have to type in the teacher name. You cannot just click search. I learned that myself. Or you can put the section ID if you happen to know the section ID. But if you put the teacher's name and you search, then their courses are going to populate and you will be able to select the ones that you want access to. That is not the end of this story, okay? So if you need access, you can request it. That's step number 1. The second step is someone with leadership has to approve it. Okay, so you would want to make sure that someone in your building that has a leadership role is aware that you are requesting sections and why you are requesting sections because they have to approve it. So we do have the approval directions in here as well of how they go about approving those sections. But the purpose of having someone approve it is just so teachers aren't, asking for requests for other teacher sections that they don't actually need access to. So that's why there is a leadership approval process. But there is a way to do that if you are a co-teacher, if there's a long-term sub in another course, medical leave, any of those things, and you need to be able to assign assessments to someone else's students, this is going to be the way to do it. All right, let's see. Oh, I think I covered that, Catherine. So I think it's on to Proctor Dashboard, and we're doing good. We still got 20 minutes left.
wait a minute. What happened to what happened to the image errors? Oh, sorry. I prepared the other one. My bad. Okay, let me go back to the Proctor dashboard. Sorry about that.
Wait, you're odd, right? You're odd numbers and I'm even numbers? I think so.
I know I wasn't looking at the numbers. I prepped the image
good.
one. I'll do this
No
one though.
worries.
Let me go back. Proctor dashboard. Okay, I'm in as a teacher. Wasn't even thinking about that. I need to get an active test. Okay. All right. So Proctor dashboard. I might have to use the slide deck here because I didn't prep this one. Sorry.
That's okay.
When you're
Just make sure you're sharing your screen.
Yep, there you go. Too many buttons. Sorry. I was so worried about getting an image for the next one. So, okay. All right. Proctor dashboard. This is a great feature when you are giving a test. And let me go back to this teacher screen here. Let me just see what assessments I might have in test management here. I see this pending test submission is started. So I could, as a teacher, these are my active tests, okay. I can click the Proctor dashboard from here. And let me just go back and show you how I did that again. I chose a section. Earlier, I showed you to click reports to see your individual students. Now you can go to assessments, you click that button, and it will take you to the test dashboard. And I just happened to see that this one was started. As a teacher, I can click the actions. Here I can see my usernames for my students, but you guys log in through NCA Cloud, so you're not going to use this feature, but you can go to Proctor dashboard. And now I can see my online passcode for the test. I can see how many students are not started, how many are in progress, how many are completed. I see that this particular student has a little computer icon, which means that they are in the middle of taking this test. The test is unlocked for them. I have another student that completed it, and I can see their progress here along this test. Remember, this is sample data. Okay. Let me go back so you can see a full dashboard, and let me zoom in here. So on this particular, oops, sorry about that. On this particular screen, oh, hold still. You can see multiple students. You can see how many students are in progress or completed. If they're completed, you can see the results. Green means they got the question correct. Red, incorrect. If it's blue, like you saw on my previous screen, that's a task, which means it's a multi-part question, which won't show whether it's correct or incorrect. Okay, and if it's gray, they haven't started it yet. All right. So that's a great feature when you're using the Proctor dashboard. Let me go back here for a minute. Another way that I can access my Proctor dashboard is if I go to my tests, okay, and let me see if I have one here that is, oh, probably not in that year. Let's try this one. Oh, I'm not going to find one. Sorry. If you have a test that's already started, go here, just click on this one. Okay. As a teacher, if this test were in progress, I could click on my Proctor dashboard here, right on the test detail page. When I click this, it brings me right to the test, my Proctor dashboard for this particular test. Okay. And any questions on the Proctor dashboard? And we did have a Desmos calculator question. Did we answer that one?
Yes, I did. I answered that one.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Can
let
I
me take over. Oh,
Do you want
sorry.
to do that or you want me to do the next one? I got it all prepped.
Oh, well, if you've already got it prepped, then go for it.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I was all ready for this one.
No, it's
So,
fine.
when you have items in a test that have images, if you're creating them yourself or you're copying a test from last year and it had an image, if the test fails to publish it could be due to an image that was incorrectly put into a question. So I'm going to demonstrate 2 ways that people put images into a test. So I already pre-saved a picture of a star. I'm creating a question here. To add an image, I click this little icon here that says Insert Image, and I already saved my star here, and I'm going to put it into my question. That is the correct way to add an image to an item. If I just copy and paste, I'm going to use the keyboard command because I pre-saved this one, and I just pasted a star in. This second star will produce an error when you go to finalize the test, and I'm going to show you the difference. This little icon here is the source code. When I click this, and you don't have to be a computer wizard, I just want to point out 2 things. The first image says content engine schoolnet.com. The second image is blob, and it just says the training site. This image will produce an error. If you ever want to check, you just need to see what the image source is. If it doesn't say content engine, you need to remove the image. Okay. Now, if you have a test that you copied over from last year and it produces an error, how could I save the image and re-put it into the question? If you're on a Mac, you can use Shift Command 4, and then I can just take a little screenshot of this and save it, and then go back here to the icon and add my image. If you are on a PC with Windows, I'm sorry, I use a Mac, so I can't even demonstrate the snipping tool, but there's a snipping tool. You just go to the Finder, type snipping tool, and you can do the same process, save the image, and then upload it into the question. Any questions about that? Okay. Thanks,
Nothing
Rebecca,
in the
for letting
chat.
Thanks for letting me switch.
Yeah, of course, of
Oh,
course.
that means either I have to do this one or you have to do 2. Your choice.
Oh, I don't mind doing 2.
Okay.
All right, let me share. Okay, let's see. Am I sharing? Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, number 9. All right, the importance of assigning. So you would be shocked at the amount of times that we will get emails or tickets about a test not working, and we go and we see, oh, it's actually not assigned. So this is the most important step when you are scheduling a Schoolnet assessment. So when I go here, let me go home. And let me use my top 10 that I was using earlier. Okay, so when I go to schedule the test, okay, so you have to choose your dates and things like that. But step number 2, where you assign it to your students, this is the most important step because the system has to know who is taking the test. So you would just click select assignment, and I have to put in a date first. There we go. All right, select assignment. And teachers have the option of either selecting sections, or you have the ability of assigning it to an individual student as well. Leadership does not have that ability, only teachers do. But you want to make sure that you are either assigning it to individual students or assigning it to sections, okay? And if you're from what Catherine talked about earlier, the Proctor dashboard, it will not show if it is not assigned, okay? So a lot of times we'll get an email where a teacher created the test and they just shared the code with other teachers, and those teachers are saying, oh, well, I can't see the data. It's because the test was not assigned to them. So you cannot share codes where the student might be able to take the assessment. You will not see their data because they were not the ones that the test was meant for. So it'll be floating up in the cloud somewhere. So you want to make sure that if you are sharing assessments, that you're doing it through co-author folders, or if you have the ability to select the shared classroom assessment in the test settings. Those are going to be the two ways that you can share. You do not want to share test codes because, again, the data will not show for the students that it's not assigned to. Okay, so you want to make sure that it's assigned. And also for student accommodations, if you get sometimes we'll get an email saying that the student didn't see their accommodation, even though it's turned on in their profile. But if the test is not assigned, it doesn't know which students are supposed to be taking the test, and therefore they don't have that accommodation for the test. Okay, so extremely important to make sure that you are assigning the test. All right, and last one, number 10, if you are using Schoolnet assessments and linking them to Canvas, there are a few things to remember, and I have it here on this last slide. So if you are linking your Schoolnet assessment through Canvas, if your district is a Canvas district, you want to make sure to remember a few things. The student must log into Schoolnet first at some point in the semester, in the year, whichever. They have to go into NC Ed Cloud and click on the Schoolnet icon, and it kind of syncs their account. Then they will be able to go to Canvas for any Schoolnet assessment that you have linked. Sometimes teachers will go to Canvas first, or have students go to Canvas first, and it'll come up as saying either that the student is not enrolled, or the student, I can't remember what the error code actually says, but the student will get an error code, and it is because they have not synced to Schoolnet first. So just make sure they do that. Also, if you are linking your Schoolnet assessment in Canvas, you cannot use the Power Teacher Pro grade sync in Schoolnet and the Canvas grade passback. You have to choose one or the other. If you are Infinite Campus, then your grade passback is not synced to Infinite Campus gradebook right now anyways, so you would just want to do the Canvas grade passback. But if you are still on Power School, just make sure that you are choosing one or the other for that grade passback, okay? And if you are choosing to use the Canvas grade passback, you want to make sure when you are setting up the assignment that you want to have the points out of 100 so that it gives the appropriate weight, okay? Because if you do it out of 100 points, then the score will show for the students as like a 44% instead of it showing like just like 8 out of 18, okay? So that's one way to kind of avoid getting parent phone calls or student emails saying this says I got an 8, when in actuality they got 44%. It just wasn't showing it out of 100 points. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. All right. And that is all the 10 things that we have for you today. It looks like we do have a question coming up in the chat, so I'm going to get to that in just a second. So we do have a few resources in the slide deck for you. We have some links here to like the training site, our Schoolnet videos, just different resources like this one right here, the one that says Schoolnet resources. This is actually linking to our QRDs, and we do have the Desmos in here as well. I told you that our Desmos was located in here, and there it is right there. So we do have some things there linked for you, and also our future webinars. So the next one we have 2 in October, one for specifically for ELA and social studies or history teachers, and one specifically for math teachers as well. I appreciate you all joining us today, but if that is all, then I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday.